Hello there YouTube, it's your boy B3, back with another kicking graphic novel review. We're doing more Spider-Man trades today. This one's a bit older. It's some Dan Slott stuff and Mark Waid. Spider-Man, New Ways to Die. Pretty cool. The Amazing Spider-Man, New Ways to Die. So, let's talk about this book. Let me give you a read up of the back real quick. You're a decent and noble guy. An out-and-out hero of the First Order, and you've saved the city more times than anyone can count. But don't you get it by now, Spidey? For every life you save, there's a million new ways to die. Especially with Norman Osborn on the scene. He's got a plan to take you down that's more clever than ever, and this time he's backed by the law. He and his team of Thunderbolts, including the baddest of the bad, Bullseye and Venom, are considered the good guys. And when all the crazy changes Eddie Brock has gone through, he's creepier than ever and tracking you down at the same time. Throw in the weird behavior of your buddy Harry Osborn. Why is he so erratic these days? And you've got some major league problems. Face it, Spidey, it may be your brand new day, but it's probably going to be your last. Collecting Amazing Spider-Man number 568 through 573, written by Dan Slott and featuring the triumphant return of artist John Romita Jr., who you know I adore. I've mentioned that many times. I adore John Romita Jr. from Marvel Comics, rated T for teen. Yeah, so this book is kind of just known as the origin of anti-venom. It's the origin of anti-venom book. It happens recently after Spider-Man gets his secret identity back thanks to Doctor Strange. There's this goblin-esque mofo running around, you know, and he's like, Menace, I think is his name? Yeah. So he's not calling himself a goblin, but he, like, is. He's calling himself Menace, and he's trying to get, like, all this political power, and he's trying to get someone elected. Peter is jobless, but he seems to get a job at the place where all of the people that left the Daily Bugle when it was bought out by a sleazy tabloid rag went and started a new little newspaper that's more ethical. Because the tabloid rag is also just being, like, blatantly partisan, being real Fox News about some stuff, you know? And then our Thunderbolts, who will eventually be Dark Avengers, probably, maybe, I don't know, do some stuff. Mr. Negative gives a little tap to Eddie Brock, and the small bits of Venom symbiote that are still in his bloodstream turn into anti-venom. You know, Peter Parker is threatened by Norman Osborn, and Norman's like, hey, you find me Spider-Man, you little piece of turd. Venom's there too, etc. And this is, of course, the Macagargan Venom, the Scorpion Venom, you know. And, you know, Norman Osborn and Harry are interacting. Harry's acting very irrationally, which makes sense. It's Harry Osborn, you know. He's not well, ever. He's just not. Spider-Man makes some mistakes. He kind of does a preemptive strike against Norman Osborn, but then Venom senses a former host, and he thinks it's Spider-Man, so he goes in for the kill, and it's Eddie Brock. And this stress fully activates this new anti-venom symbiote, which doesn't have a mind of its own. It's just Eddie Brock with these powers. And he's fighting Macagargan, and when Spider-Man comes in and starts saving people, Anti-Venom starts to be like, hey, maybe Spider-Man wasn't a bad guy the whole time. In fact, you know, the Venom symbiote, the courts ruled that it's what made me do bad stuff. And when Spider-Man was pissing me off, he was wearing it. Holy shit, Spider-Man's not a bad guy. Like, Eddie Brock finally, you know, figures it out. He's like, oh, Spider-Man ain't a little goof. But then during their battle, they almost destroy the Venom symbiote, and then Anti-Venom tries to cure Spider-Man of the little bits of symbiote left in him, just little trace amounts like Eddie Brock had. And then he's like, oh, your blood's also irradiated. Dude, you're in trouble. Here, let me get rid of that radiation for you. Which starts to destroy Spider-Man's powers. He's going to end up being powerless if he doesn't you know, get out of Anti-Venom's grasp. And ever since then, whenever Anti-Venom is near him, or at least the Eddie Brock Anti-Venom, it messes with his powers. They, like, go in and out, and he's weaker. So he can't ever truly fight alongside Anti-Venom, because just his mere presence screws with him. But yeah, you know, they fight the Thunderbolts, and the Thunderbolts become obsessed with taking down anti-venom because they don't want to lose, you know, Venom. Also, it's their job to take down non-registered superhumans and all that stuff. Eddie Brock's cancer is, of course, cured by the anti-venom symbiote, which seems to be maybe one of the things that was creating miracle cures in the first place at Martin Lee or Mr. Negative's Feast Center. Norman Osborn dons the Goblin persona again. Harry Osborn seems to be up to some shady stuff, but it's not fully revealed what he is up to in this. But Norman is sabotaging Harry's life to get him to come back to Oscorp out of desperation. Like, because Harry Osborn is about to be franchising his coffee shop. Like, he's doing incredibly well for himself. Any father, especially one known for building a business, would probably be super proud of their son for this. But Osborn just isn't. He's just a bad, crazy guy. But then, you know, Venom and his symbiote aren't fully healed, so he has, like, this scorpion armor Venom symbiote hybrid that's filled with, like, super venom, which will destroy the anti-venom symbiote. All kinds of crazy stuff. But then later, when Spider-Man and anti-venom attack the Thunderbolts, we find out that, Venom can't kill anti-venom because the Venom symbiote won't let Mac Gargan do it. It still cares for Eddie Brock because that was, you know, his host for the longest. At least, you know, at the time of recording this. This is all before, way before first host and stuff, you know. But it's some pretty cool fights. I don't understand why the super venom that Norman Osborn created doesn't completely destroy anti-venom. Well, I know why. It's because they want to keep anti-venom around for stories and stuff, but whatever. But there is a lot going on. And there's a lot set up and not finished. But, you know, I will read further. I'm just going to, you know, I love Spider-Man. I read as much Spider-Man as I can. And this was a very enjoyable book. It's a very enjoyable book. Nice to know something good came out of came out of Dan Slott's incredibly long time working on the Amazing Spider-Man title. It was quite the run. There was good and bad in it. But, you know, I think for the most part it'll be remembered pretty fondly. And this story is genuinely good. Plus we get anti-venom, who I like. But yeah, that is it for today's book. I know I've been reviewing all Spider-Man recently. I don't know if I'm going to keep up with reviewing mostly spidery stuff, or if I'm going to change it up and review something else. I mean, you know, I got to finish reviewing all of Haunt and Batman and Mother Panic. And I read Interceptor and Milk Wars and some Spawn stuff recently. You know, there's a lot I can review. Indie and corporate. But that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below. Facebook, Twitter, etc. And I will be seeing you all, you guessed it, next time. Bye for now.